Very dope. You mentioned earlier you released God Hates Gucci. Talk a little bit about that name and concept behind that project.
God Hates Gucci. The name again, like I said, I try not to take too much credit. I have my little quick shit talking moments, but I believe strongly in that we don't get any skills, gifts, or talents other than coming from the Creator, the Most High. That being said, one day I just heard it. God Hates Gucci. Now, shout out to West Side Gun because it was around the time when someone hit me up and was like, "Yo, you should check out Griselda. I feel like y'all music kind of got like a similar spirit, to it. And maybe just more sonically than content wise, but still, it was like, yo, definitely check them out. I release bullets, and then somebody, so as I'm studying what Wes and crew was doing, I found out about the Hitler Wears Hermes series and how he was inspired by the Devil Wears Prada, and I like the fact that he used three words: Hitler Wears Hermes. Now that's like a crazy ass title, but I still got what he was doing with it. And then like because he brought, the inspiration from somewhere else. So loosely that was in my head. But it wasn't like it was like one day it was like, oh, I'm gonna come up with something just like West Side. And it was just it popped in my head one day, God Hates Gucci. And I was like, yo, that shit got a ring to it. Then later I, you know, developed like, okay, what does that mean? And it was like, God don't like ugly. God don't like whack shit. Like God, God hates Gucci. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't really about the brand. Some people was like, "You dissing Gucci, man?" I'm like, "Hell no, man! Like, I don't even, that's not even my. I'm on some other shit." Like, but it's just, even if you think about like all the controversy with Gucci and some of the other brands that have happened in the recent years with their marketing campaigns and very very suggestive and if you want to just call it that, blatantly racist uh, designs. You know what I mean? That it was like, yo, are you niggas serious? But whatever for them. It was just bigger, and it was also just like I say this. I think in the description of the album that is about like this album is supposed to be a mirror for hip hop at the time that it was released. Like, yo, this is what we look like, nigga. This is what we sound like. That's what God Hates Gucci was.
Dope. Who are some features on the project?
Oh man, I went and got the best of the best from my area, man. Again, shout out to my brother Roddy Rod and the whole crew over there with Humble Monarch. I was linked up with Roddy from the Bullets album, and we decided to release it, together under the Humble Monarch banner. So it was like, yo, let's spin the block again. I'm starting to learn, more of the crew, even though obviously we've all been in the area for a while. It's still, as small as DC is, it's still easy to like have not met somebody, till years later. So it's like I've been hearing the names Camber and Ken Starr. Obviously Kev, I knew Kev Brown, for a minute. Shout out to Kev. Um, YU, shout out to YU. That's my man, Big Mike in the Wood. Um, I know him for a good while. And then, like I said, some of the other cats I was just getting introduced to. But once introduced, it was like, yo, man, these dudes been doing what I've been doing, you know what I mean, for the last couple of years, like putting in that work so that they could get they shit, but also so that our area, so people could know, like, yo, don't play, man. Like the DC, Maryland, and Virginia, they really do that hip hop shit. You know what I mean? So I got my man Camber is on there. Sean Bourne is on there. Shout out to my sister Glow Shines, who I met through brother Judah. Shout out to Judah, where we recorded everything, who helped us get that sound right. Shout out to my man Choppy Chop. Shout out to YU. YU is on the album. Um, Gosh, I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting nobody, man, on my features. Shout out to my man Nathaniel Starr, who I also met through, the Humble Monarch side of the world. And my lady, BB LaMonica, she was featured on the track or two. Um, I might be blanking right now. And if I'm blanking, please forgive me. Y'all just go listen to God Hates Gucci so you can see all the features on that joint. Um, but yeah, I definitely was like, yo, I want to be aligned with people that's doing dope shit. And those people were and are still doing dope shit. You know what I mean? So it was a blessing to link up with all of them for the project.
Did you handle all the production on that?
Yeah, with God Hates Gucci, that's all me. Shout out to my brother RNL, who co-produced a song on it called Buster versus Michael. RNL threw me the original loop, and then I just kind of added some little small nuances to it for that track. But everything on that album, that was me and God, man.
Right. You won a 2022 Whammy Award for Hip Hop Album, Hip Hop Artist. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, spun the block, man. Like I said, lightning strikes once with bullets, and that was a blessing because again, it's like, man, to win something like that with your first album that you ever released, you know what I mean? And again, like you said, coming with the pressures of changing from group to solo artist, that was a blessing. But then I had a feeling though, and then that same feeling came back, but even heavier when God Hates Gucci was being done. I knew that shit was a classic.
Mm.
Somebody might look at me crazy, like, how you calling your own shit a classic? And like, yeah, you go play it, and you put it up against classic hip hop albums. Don't play your man, Shooty B from down the block. Nah, go put that shit up against like your OGs, my OGs. Put it up against them. Play it side by side, and I'm guaranteeing you, pound for pound type shit. But I knew God Hates Gucci when it was being made. Like I was in a different mode, and I knew that for me, that album is like Bullets was like, yo, this dude is, but God Hates Gucci was the album where I knew you are an MC. You rapping now. There is no, oh, I can't be in the room with this person, or no, this is that. This is whoever. This is for the young cast that's killing it. For the OGs, it's always been whoever. You get your pen, I'm gonna get my pen. You get your phone or your tablet, I'm gonna get my phone and my tablet. Cut the beat on, and then we're gonna see who got the bigger war chest.
Mm.
But God Hates Gucci, I knew it was coming, and it showed up. I was talking big shit, like campaigning about that. Like nobody else in the DMV area in the history of their award system called the Whammies, the Washington Area Music Awards. I am more than certain that no one has ever campaigned as heavy as I did when it was award time for me, and I won. God was like, "It's your time," so came through, and for what I was nominated in, I swept. Best album, and for me, if I hadn't won shit else, I knew when I remember I was on the way. This is the first and only Whammy ceremony I ever went to, you know. And they used to have them out in Virginia, but they had brought it back to DC. So I was like, this is very fitting. You up for awards? You from the city? Like, go. You know what I mean? And on the way, I think I got the news that I won one award already. And not to be a jackass, but I was just like set. Like, I want best album.
Mm.
I know that this is the best album in the DMV for the time that this joint was released. And as far as I'm concerned, it is the best album of that year of 2021, even though the award was given in 2022. God Hates Gucci is the best hip hop album that came out in that entire year.
Mm.
Tack it on my jacket.
No doubt. What do you remember most about the feedback when that hit the streets?
Oh man, it was buzzing. The city lit up again. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Is like Bullets came in and let people know again. It was like, yo, again, shout out to the DMV, but let me again bring y'all back to a simpler time when this shit was just known as DC. You know what I mean? If you was from Maryland, you was representing Maryland, you was representing PG County. It wasn't no like banner that we could fly under so that the world would like the DMV is almost like a makeover for DC in a way where it gives people like access, like, yeah, yo, he shot it to the DMV, but nobody ever wanted to give DC props. So when I came in, I made it cool again to say, yo, I'm from DC. And then when God Hates Gucci came back around, it was like, yo, this shit, it definitely has, like, it was a moment. The city was buzzing. It was other things happening, not just me. You know what I'm saying? I just talk about what I'm talking about from my perspective and my place in it. But it was a lot of things happening artistically. And I'm just happy that I could be one of the, the the catapulting forces within that. You know what I mean? But we was starting to get attention even outside of the district, man. Like Peter Rosenberg, you know what I mean, spun a couple of the joints on his late night show. You know what I mean? Started to see people putting it in their stories. You know what I mean? You starting to get follows from people that's, oh shit, damn, so and so. So it's Gucci was a huge lightning bolt.
Mm,
Yeah, it woke him right up, as Sue said in a battle.
right. Were you able to do shows off that particular project?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of them at that time. Just to be honest, I want to say off of Guys Gucci, I might have did maybe man 5 shows ultimately, but
Mm,
they were more than enough to solidify what was going on. You know what I mean? Like we played at the Kennedy Center. We did Songbird. You know what I mean? Shout out to Songbird, brother Joe over there. Um, Pie Shop DC. We played a couple spots, but it wasn't a lot of shows. It was just like going around, kind of like handling press for it.
right.
Um, dealing with different media entities in the city that was, hip to what we was doing or got hip at the time. Um, but for those shows that were played, like I said, I definitely did a couple joints with brother Sean Bourne and Camber, who was doing it there. I think this was maybe like the first Nino Green album had come out around this time. So they had their thing going on. We rocked out together. Um, and yeah, again, man, like I said, it's just to me, God Hates Gucci was really like a big ass moment for the DMV. And it might not seem that way in terms of, like I said, record sales and all of that shit. It's like, yo, that shit don't matter. Y'all know what's up.
Right.
That way.
Right. 2023, you dropped Flight Sin Superstar.
Yes, yes.
Talk a little bit about that project.
That that was another like kind of almost like sitcom in a way.
Mm,
Um, I wasn't necessarily planning on it. I had already started after God Hates Gucci started. Usually that's what happens with me is like, and I think with any artist, you have to live with the music for so long, so much longer than the listener, or the audience. So you may get tired of the shit by the time it actually drops. And I'm already kind of on to my next thought of what I should be doing artistically. So usually for me, it always starts with the beats. So I'm just sitting there, just making joints and I made the joints for I Love You, I'm Not Sorry, and some of them happen to be spillovers. And I was like, yo, these are still dope though, even if you're not gonna use it for the album, like you should do something with this. And it's like, all right, well, I'm not really an EP person, but something said just do an EP.
right.
So, the ideas came loosely. I became a fan of the musical Jesus Christ Superstar. So, the original film version is the one I love with brother Carl Anderson, rest in peace, playing Judas, and they was singing their asses off in that joint, man. I'm not a huge musical head, but my lady definitely got me hip to some other shit, and that just kind of came on my radar, and it was like, yo, this is really dope. And then one day it was just like, what if you did a project called Jesus Light Skin Superstar? And then it attached itself to the EP, and now for some other part of the story, again, as you can see, I just lived my spliff, so I might have forgotten along the way, but yeah, it was just like, yo, just drop these joints real quick, man, because I wanted to have I Love You, I'm Not Sorry out by that time, but it just didn't work out. So it was like, yo, just do this so you can at least say you accomplished releasing something in 2023. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, shout out again to Camber and Sean Bourne, because again, we hit the whammies again 2023 and we won Best Rap Group in the DMV with Free to Godway. So it was like coming off the heels of that, you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to make sure I did something to be released in 2023.
Right. Just about that. Mount Olympus project. What was the conversations that you guys had decided that you guys want?
Yo, again, I can't say this enough, man. Shout out to Humble Monarch as a movement because, like I said, we all linked up at the perfect time, man. Where it was sparks in the city. Like I said, they had did the I did Bullets. They came with the Nino Green project, and they hit me up like, "Yo, why don't you jump on this shit with us?" And it was like, "I bet." That shit was dope. We went in and did God Hates Gucci. I'm like, hey man, like y'all come get down on this joint. And then it was like, yo, why don't we just do a group album, man? So we started sending beats. Shout out to Sean. Sean is one of the most amazing producers of the DMV. We got a lot of underrated people at the DMV that make beats, man. That's like heavy with that shit. You know what I mean? Shout out to YU, another best kept secret type of shit. But Sean is amazing. Sean was sending beats. I had joints. Shout out to my brother Howard Knox, man. Howard B. Knox. Who Camber and Howard did a project together called Black Earth. They got two installments of it now. But yeah, it was just like we were already just building. The energy was there. You know what I mean? We had, did all this work again over at my man Judas studio out in Maryland, out in PG County, and it was a vibe there, man. Like every time we pulled up, it was a vibe. People coming up to the spot. Ken Starr pulled up. You know what I mean? Cy Young, cats like that. You know what I'm saying? And it was this big inspiration. So it just all led to that music. You know what I'm saying? Like we finally, finalized the joints we was going to rock over, and then like, yo, let's pull up. Like we got the date locked down, and we just went in and blazed that shit, man. Shout out to Priest and Nomad too. Priest, shout out to Uptown XO, who's on the album as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You talked about "I Love You, I'm Not Sorry." What's the concept behind that title?
I Love You, I'm Not Sorry was a turning point. Every album, I guess, is a turning point, but it was like, all right, you've done all this in DC so far. So what now? And me and my lady were talking about moving because she does costuming, and obviously I'm a musician. And, for her, costuming is only truly, happening in certain parts of the country. Obviously, you got your choices, the West Coast being one, and that's a huge move for somebody like me, you know what I mean, coming from the East Coast, coming from DC, but I did New York before, so I was like, yo, so that's a factor of me, getting ready to like make a major shift in life. You learning more and more about the industry that you're in, and then being this age, and shit not happening the way you dreamed of it happening by this point, but yet you see that there's clearly a reason that you're doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, and you know that, damn, well, if I hadn't have gotten here, then I wouldn't be as dope as I am to even have people like, yo, have you heard Guys Gucci? Have you heard this, and that? Um, Being a father, and being away from my kids, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of factors that played into it, and just growing up, you know what I mean? You can be a grown up and still be growing up, you know what I mean? So those factors played heavy into that album, and it's just really the title just was about, yo, this is what we doing, no apologies. All right. If you with us, we love you. If you don't, that man, I love you, I'm not sorry. Which is a joke from my older brother. We were watching wrestling, which not, big wrestling fans like that. I stopped once I was a kid and was like, this shit isn't, but shout out to all the wrestling fans. But Ric Flair was fighting this cat, Shawn Michaels, in like one of his last matches, and Shawn Michaels was about to whip his ass, and he's over in the corner. Ric Flair is like staggering in the middle of the ring, and Shawn Michaels mouths the words, I love you, I'm sorry, and then goes and drop kicks that nigga. And so my older brother one day was joking like, "Hey man, we gonna start saying I love you, I'm not sorry." So that's where the album title comes from.
Very. What were you looking for sonically on this particular project?
One, to keep the pace up. Guys, Gucci, like I said, it was a big moment. So it's like I don't ever look to repeat no moment, but it's still like, how can you, if you can't surpass it, can you at least end up there? You know what I mean? Like in a close enough place to where people still hear the consistency. People hear that, damn, he actually stepped up, like writing, like, you know what I mean? People hear that, like, yo, he's still doing it, like on the production. I still want people to be like, yo, you did all that shit? Like, yeah, like me and God, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's close to some of the stuff on God Hates Gucci. You know what I mean? There's definitely connections, but I think, I don't know, just like the moods and the situations for each song call for something else that's not exactly on God Hates Gucci, but it's kind of up to the listener to like hear each project and decide like, oh, yo, yeah, he did something different on this one. You know,
What's some of the features on this one?
I love you. I'm not sorry, man. Shit. Shout out to my homegirl Kenilworth Katrina, one of the most amazing artists that I've ever come across in life. Fuck that whole one of the best out of the DMV shit. She from DC first and foremost. She from Northeast where I'm from, so Northeast for life. But Kenilworth Katrina, I was introduced to her by my homie Black Indian, rest in peace, one of the illest to ever come out of DC. And Katrina got it, man. She got it. Like she got it. Like she's this is on some like, you know, like you're like not just, you know, like she can out rap anybody. Let's put it that way. Ain't no just like ladies. Like this is you put anyone in front of her, I'm gonna put my money on Kenilworth Katrina. So shout out to Katrina. Shout out to my man Ronnie Bueller out here from the LA side. Um, who else do I have featured on the album? Shout out to BB LaMonica. Um, man, I feel like, yo, am I tripping? I think that's pretty much it for that album. I ain't really have no whole bunch of features on I Love You, I'm Not Sorry like I did with Guys Gucci. Again, pardon me, audience, because clearly, as you can see, I smoke. So it could be that. And again, if I missed your name, you know I'm tripping, but I love you. But yeah, definitely, like I said, shout out to Kenilworth, Katrina, Ronnie Bueller. Shout out to my lady. Um, Shout out to my homeboy THX Beats, man, out here in Inglewood, who recorded us, who's an amazing, amazing producer, engineer. Helped me get that done. And then obviously I went back to Judah for the, you know, mixing and the mastering of it. Um, But yeah, as far as features go, I kind of kept it chill on I Love You, I'm Not Sorry.
Right. You got quite a few song titles. I just want to jump into a few, and you can describe, the creative process, the name, title,
Yes,
con-
sir.
Spray Tona 500.
Okay. Hopefully, anybody from the era or anybody that's a Wu Tang fan, you know, they'll get the connotation of the spray toner, but it's, you know, taken from Daytona 500. You know what I mean? Ghost, Raekwon, Cap, Capadonna for, you know, people that don't really know, but um, something about the mood of the beat just made me think of that, and like faster, more rapid pace rapping, like, you know what I mean, almost on like some like Cool G rap type shit. And I don't really rap over a lot of faster paced tracks. Like it's not so much about comfort zone, but it's just like this is this, you know, this is, yeah, it's like it's still sweet spot a certain tempo for me, but you know, if you were MC, you can kind of adapt. So it was just like, all right, do something a little bit faster paced. So that's how that joint happened. But it was like definitely, you know, the head nod to, you know, the Wu movement and how they inspired everyone, even if they don't admit it.
Right. Whammy Heist.
Wabby Heist, shout out to my man Cable, because he came up with the with that title after I won for God Hates Gucci. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, you should, because Howard, shout out to Howard Knox, man. Howard B. Knox. I said, yo, Howard, send me some joints, man. And one of the beats that he sent me, I didn't know was used on the Black Earth Project, but I heard and was like, yo, Nick, this shit is ill. Can I use this? He's like, yeah. He's like, just so you know, we use this on the joint. So When I told Camber, that's when he was like, well, our joint was called Grammy Heist. He was like, you should call yours Whammy Heist. And then it was like, I bet. Like, you know what I mean? Just symbolic of, like I said, if you find me somebody from the DMV that can say, yo, I'm a 6-time award winner for being the best in my area, bring them to me. Again, shout out to my man Head Rock. We still all chasing Hetty, but I'm right there behind him. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, Whammy Heights was just on some like, yo, just hey, yo, we again putting it out there again in case you didn't hear it the first time around. DC dudes really rap like this.
Scam and drink lean.
Scam and drink lean. This one for the fiends. That is just a oldest take on the world of the youngest. You know what I mean? Like I'm from an era where it was like niggas was telling you to say no to drugs, even though the country that's telling you that is flooding the cities with the thing that they tell you will destroy the city. You know what I'm saying? Um, it ain't to say that people wasn't on crazy ass drugs when I was growing up, but it was just more like a you ain't really know unless you knew.
Right,
Um, and most of it wasn't looked at as like no glamorous thing. Now it's like drugs is it's like glamorous to like pop pills and like random ass shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like then the whole scamming thing, like just the transition from it being like a dope game to this is now a dope game. And just like I said, just the state of things are just like, yo, man, like, people still rapping about fucked up shit. And that seems to be what wins most of the time versus, you know, whatever happened to the X Clans, the PEs, the Ghetto Boys, the Willie D's, like, where's that shit at? Like, it's still room for that. So that's, speaking from that perspective.
right. Who killed Fendi?
Who Killed Fendi is picking up from God Hates Gucci. It was just like a way to tie it in. Like, I might have said that shit in like a random rhyme that I never put out. You know what I mean? And just the line came back was like, yo, God hates Gucci. Who killed Fendi? And so then it got, all right, how you gonna do this rhyme? What you gonna say on it? Because you don't just want to. Again, some people get away with just spitting. Yo, it's just bars for bars' sake. It's like, but what you saying though? So I thought about the Jizz's song Labels.
Mm,
It was like that. It's crazy how he, freak that. Tabi ain't my motherfucking boy, and he lined up all these. So I was like, well, why don't you do that with fashion?
mm-hmm.
So a lot of everything you hear me reference in first and second verse is, fashion labels. Some are indie, most are more larger known, fashion houses or whatever. But just kind of getting at the idea of we use other people's shit as our status symbols. We
Right,
brag about being better than the next man because we can afford to wear some shit designed by somebody that probably really don't fuck with you or people like you.
right,
We're not benefiting monetarily from that shit, but we spending money on it. But then a motherfucker won't come buy my t-shirt.
right,
But if Gucci said this shirt that has holes in it, it's distressed or it can look this way, but it got a fucking G on it now. And niggas like, yo, or a belt. Like, nigga, you spent 2,000 on a belt, some crazy shit on a belt. And a nigga get mad at me because I said the album was $20. It's like, yeah, fuck out of here.
right,
Um, but it's just, like I said, more so just going into again the mindset of where they have us at with hip hop and the culture.
right. When that project dropped, what was the feedback like?
Quiet as a fucking mouse.
Really?
People still catching up to that shit. I believe, man. You find out who's with you when you winning
Mm,
and when you losing. And like I said, to me, guys, Gucci was such a huge moment that it was like all this momentum around it. And then I left the DMV. You know what I mean? So it's like I ain't even aware of what's happened fully on my own hometown's music scene. I'm entering into a new one. So um and then this one was done straight just me. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't using a label connection with this particular project as opposed to like the first two. You know what I mean? Again, shout out to DJ Roddy Rod and Humble Monarch. So you just you learn lessons as you go. You see, like, you know what I mean, if people are really riding for the long run, and it's definitely core supporters, and shout out to them, man. Shout out to my brother Keith Graham. Shout out to Matt Martinez. Shout out to my man T Bear, and Zakai Free, and my man DJ Iron, and the people that shout out to my sister Real Cats, people that still like, yo man, keep going, man. You know what I mean? Like, yo, when you dropping that? You know what I mean? So we put it out in the atmosphere and we let God do the rest, man. So I just hope that people find it when it's the right time. You know what I mean?
Right. Speaking of where to find it, where can they find projects?
All right. So first and foremost, go to Bandcamp. All right. Do it the right way and support the artist that's creating this dope ass shit so that we can have soundtracks to this life that we live. All right. So the Let the Dirt Say Amen Bandcamp, you can find all my work there, the solo albums. Sid Calm is still there. Um, and you can support directly. If you just streaming, you know what I mean? As I started recently saying, my shit is up on all thieving platforms.
Right. What's next for Let the Dirt Say Amen?
Man, a lot. Inshallah. But I've been working on a lot of new music actually. I have a album that I was going to release a little bit earlier, but I want to kind of fix some things with it mixing wise. Because it's very raw. So I want to, at least make it so that the people can tolerate the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I have a project coming called Cool Disco Dirt, um, where I did all the production on that album. But I'm also working on a couple of brand new joints as well. I mean, that's brand new because it's not out yet. But I mean, as far as outside of me doing the production, shout out to my brother Skinny Hightower, man, who I linked up with on Instagram. Very, very amazing producer. This will be my first album over someone else's production. You know what I mean? And I'm very proud of what we've been working on. This shit has challenged me as a writer to like really make songs, like be songs just beyond, like I said, oh, this nigga got bars. You know what I'm saying? So that should be coming out at some point this year. You know what I mean? Soon enough. Obviously we got to get the bells and whistles done with it. But that's on the way. Also, shout out to my man Wiz the Kid. Um, we got something coming. Shout out to my man Uncle Bucks. Just touched bases with him, and we hopefully will have something on the way too. So I have a good amount of projects, and I've never really released more than one or two in a year. You know what I mean? So I always had this vision of I would like to release 3 albums in a year. So
Mm.
we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? I just released a new video from the I Love You, I'm Not Sorry album on YouTube for When Steph Met Sully. Shout out to all my peoples out in the UK, all the Top Boy fans out there. Wagwan, bro. What you saying? But it's up for the people to see on YouTube. And it was one more thing that I was trying to mention about this year, and it just slipped. But you know what I mean, maybe it'll pop back before we get off. But yeah, I got a couple of albums lined up for this year that I want to accomplish. And shout out to I'm gonna just put it out there right now so we can make the shit solidify, man. Shout out to the god Pete Rock, man. I've been able to link with Pete. You know what I mean, we've been talking for a little bit, and hopefully, I'll just leave it right there. I won't say nothing else. I'll just leave it right there. You know what I mean? Hey, yo, Pete. When you ready, I'm ready, bro.
Right. Very dope. Something to look forward to. What's the status of the band and the group?
Oh man, we actually have an album that we've been sitting on for a minute, but what we're gonna do is my man Rashad, aka Hoodie. Like I said, he's releasing stuff under the name Messiah and Glitch right now. Um, but we're gonna put out that stuff probably released as I think as Cornell West Theory stuff, but it may just be featuring him on the vocals, and then we're gonna probably concoct something brand new that is more fitting for the time. But we're not in any rush with Cornell West Theory because it's like we did a lot, and it's shit that people got to catch up to. You know what I mean? So there's that, and there's also the promise of you never know when somebody going, bless you with the budget. You know what I mean? So
Right.
um, we'll definitely get around to CWT business when it's time. But we both are just like I said, supporting each other with our solo shit. You know what I mean? I still do production for Messiah and Glitch, so that's other stuff that people are unaware of. That's Rashad has dropped, I want to say, one or two EPs by now under that name. So definitely go look that shit up. It's way fucking different from Let the Dirt Say Amen. But, you know, dope as hell and still from the same spirit. You know what I mean? So that's what's up with Cornell West Theory. Like I said, right now it's we gonna keep the dirt on the floor and see if it work.
Right. Any other avenues you're looking to explore? Merchandise, physical copy project.
Yeah, definitely, man. We ran into a snag with God Hates Gucci. We were supposed to have vinyl for that, but um the company that we was messing with at the time was whack, man. They was like real whack. They folded and like disappeared on us. They had already took money from people's orders and shit and just literally disappeared. Like no contact, all that. So that shit fell through. So I'm in the process now of establishing a way to get vinyl to the people.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So that will hopefully be in effect this year, um, as well as merch like slowly rolling out. You know what I mean? Like we try to um, put the best ideas up front first, but have a store. You know what I mean, where people can access the stuff online. But definitely, the vinyl is something that I want to achieve this year. Because it'll be my first like vinyl for myself. You know what I mean? I've been featuring on other people's stuff, but that's important for me as a musician. Um, and then as a hip hop artist, so like, yo, I want to see it on wax. You know what I'm saying? So, y'all keep praying for that, and hopefully we'll see it soon. You know what I'm saying?
Any plans for upcoming shows?
With the shows, I've been real quiet, man. I've been again trying to fill out the land out here. LA is a big fucking place. But also I've been really focused on the music, on making sure that I have enough dope ass content. And I mean, again, I could go performing the stuff that I've already worked on, but I still like to have, you know what I mean? Like, I these bullets still work that I have in this gun, but I just went to the store and bought some fresh ones. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be some new ones in this clip as well, type of shit. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it.
Oh, well, let the dirt say, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hey man, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Again, I found you through the good brother Ken Starr, and shout out to Ken Starr. He got some new work coming, I know, with Kev Brown, so that's gonna be dope. Hey yo, all my artists in the DMV, put that shit out, man.
No
They
doubt.
need they need us right now. Put that shit out, man. Shout out to Priest and Nomad. Shout out to Uptown XO. Shout out to my man Artemis. Shout out to Glow Shines. You know what I mean? It's way too many to name, but I just hope y'all know I love y'all, man, and I'm always rapping for y'all. I'll be home soon enough. You know what I'm saying?
Before we get out of here, any last words for your day one supporters and those that found your music here later on?
Man, happy birthday to my eldest child, Hannah. She's 21 today, so um,
Okay.
we bigger up first and foremost. But yeah, man, if you've been rocking with me, man, I have nothing but love for you. Like Heavy D said, you know what I'm saying? But if you're new to it, man, welcome to the world where hip hop actually sounds right, like it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit. And I'm looking forward to all the people that are unaware. You know what I mean? That will discover Let the Dare Say Amen and see like, oh shit, like damn, like I said, like Yeah, this is what we sound like in DC. This is what we sound like in Maryland and Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been studying the game as long as it's been around.
Right.